Hi, hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and this is the part 12th video on cell signaling. In the previous video, we were talking about the water signaling molecules. In this video, we will discuss about gaseous signaling molecules. Gaseous signaling molecules includes, there are mainly three types. Those are first one nitric oxide, NO, second one carbon monoxide, CO, third one hydrogen sulfide, that is H2S. Okay, and these three are gaseous signaling molecules. You should have to remember these three. These are the main three important gaseous signaling molecules, and these gaseous signaling molecules acts like they behaves like neurotransmitters. That's why these are also called as gasotransmitters. Okay, that's why these are also called as gasotransmitters. Okay, and I will explain one by one. Now I will start with the first one, that is nitric oxide, that is NO. It is represented as NO. Let me explain the first point here. NO plays an important role in nervous system, circulatory system and immune system. Okay, it plays a major role on different kinds of systems like nervous system, circulatory system and immune system. And here this nitric oxide, the precursor of this nitric oxide is arginine, that is R. Okay, the precursor of nitric oxide is arginine. Here if you have to look at the reaction over here, arginine, this NADPH plus O2 releases NADP plus in the presence of an enzyme called as nitric oxide synthase. Nitric oxide synthase produces this citrulline and NO, that is nitric oxide, the major reaction. So this arginine is the one which produces the nitric oxide. Okay, so that's why the precursor of nitric oxide is arginine. Very important, one more question you should have to remember. And here there are different nitric oxide synthase, right? If any kind of reaction has to take place, the enzyme is have a major role here, right? In different kinds of reactions. And here to convert arginine into citrulline and nitric oxide, the presence of this enzyme, that is nitric oxide synthase, is must. And here this nitric oxide synthase, it is present in different parts, like so in neurons it is represented as NNOS. Okay, in neurons it is represented as NNOS. Okay, so if there is any reaction that is takes place in the neurons, and there the enzyme which is present over there is N-nitric oxide synthase, that is neuron nitric oxide synthase. The same thing, the same explanation for this also. If you find out this reaction in the endothelial cells, then the enzyme will be ENOS, and if that is which is takes place in immune system, okay, that is INOS. Next, moving on to the next point here. Nitric oxide acts as a local mediator. What is this local mediator? Like I guess you may have idea about a common English term, that is local. It's like they will say I'm very local to this area. Like it is easily available. It is very local. Like and its effects are also local because it has nitric oxide has a short half life, and the second one, it is chemically unstable and reactive. Okay, next point, nitric oxide doesn't bind to the plasma membrane receptors on target cell. Okay, it is not going to bind to the plasma membrane receptor on the target cell. If I have to explain this one, see, I guess you might have already know about these basic things: sender cell, target cell. If you take the target cell and this is the plasma membrane, it is not going to bind to the plasma membrane receptors. Okay, so what it will do instead? So this nitric oxide diffuses into the target cell. It is actually going to diffuses into the target cell. This is the target cell and this is the sender cell, right? So it is going to diffuses into the target cell and binds intracellular receptor target enzyme. To which it is going to bind? It bind to the intracellular receptor target enzyme. It is going to bind to the intracellular receptor target enzyme. The next, the major intracellular receptor target enzyme of nitric oxide is guanylate cyclase, that is GC. Okay, so for I said it diffuses into the target cell and binds to the intracellular receptor target enzyme, right? Then what? Which is that enzyme? Then which is that enzyme? That enzyme is guanylate cyclase, that is GC, and this nitric oxide causes the nitrogenation of GC. What is nitrogenation? Nitrogenation is nothing but the transfer of nitrogen group, nitro group, what we can say. Okay, which one? This nitric oxide causes the nitrogenation of the GC. We'll move on to the next points. And this GC produces these secondary messengers called as cyclic GMP. What is cyclic GMP? Cyclic guanosine monophosphate. Cyclic GMP means cyclic guanosine monophosphate. And this cyclic GMP actually mediates the effect. It regulates the effects of nitric oxide. What kind of reaction, what has to be bring, what kind of response it should bring, that is all regulated by cyclic GMP. Okay, and this cyclic GMP activates a protein kinase that is called as cyclic GMP dependent protein kinase. It acts in protein kinase called as cyclic GMP dependent protein kinase, and this it has the another name that is called as protein kinase G. Okay, I repeat once again, I will repeat this point. And this cyclic GMP activates a protein kinase called as cyclic GMP dependent protein kinase or protein kinase G. Now, see, for make you to understand this nitric oxide pathway, this nitric oxide pathway is very easy and very simple. So, I have explained like point wise. Now, I will give a chart so that make you to remember this pathway. So, see, this nitric oxide reaction, it may takes place in different parts, in different system of our body. Okay, so in all those parts, so this is the one, this is the type it is going to follow up. Okay, this is the basic reaction which I have showed in a chart. So that it will help you to learn very easily, to remember very easily. So let's start this one. The sender cell, as usual, the stimulus is going to send by the sender cell. So when it gets the stimulus, this nitric oxide is released, and this nitric oxide diffuses into the target cell. Okay, which I have explained just before 2 minutes. If you remember, just recall the points. Okay, so then follow this chart. It is very easy, and you will going to remember it for a longer time. So this nitric oxide diffuses into the target cell. In target cell, where it is going to bind, it is going to bind into the intracellular receptor target enzyme. Okay, it is bind into the intracellular receptor target enzyme, and intracellular receptor target enzyme of nitric oxide is what? That is guanylate cyclase, that is GC. And this guanylate cyclase, it is going to activate, it produces a secondary type of secondary messenger. That messenger is called as cyclic GMP. Cyclic GMP means long form cyclic guanosine monophosphate, and this cyclic GMP activates it is the one which actually mediates, which actually regulates the effects of nitric oxide, and this one is going to activate a protein kinase. That protein kinase is called as cyclic GMP dependent protein kinase or PKG. Okay, in short form it is called as PKG. So after producing of this protein kinase, the different kinds of effects is going to, that means what you can, effect means nothing but the response the organ is going to get. This is the major pathway. Next, moving on to the what are the functions of this nitric oxide. Some of the functions have listed out here. I will explain one by one. Let's begin with the first one. This nitric oxide stimulates vasodilation. So what is vasodilation? Vasodilation means vasodilation means like dilation of like this, we have a smooth muscle. Okay, dilation of this. Okay, that is called as vasodilation. How it is going to regulate the vasodilation here? This nitric oxide is produced by vascular endothelial cells. So here the what is the enzyme here? Enzyme will be the ENOS, right? And this one, now this nitric oxide then acts in a paracrine manner on the vascular smooth cells. So it is going to produce, it is going to act in a paracrine manner. Paracrine manner means it is just which is present very near. So it is going to act on a vascular smooth muscle which is present very near, and this nitric oxide inhibits the vascular smooth muscle contraction. So when contraction is inhibited, then what happens? The contraction is inhibited, then obviously that means that it helps in the dilation. Okay, the consequent smooth muscle relaxation, it increases the diameter of the blood vessels. That's how this nitric oxide promotes the vasodilation. Moving on to the next one, blood pressure. It is going to regulate the blood pressure, and actually it increases the blood supply to the tissues. Okay, and the next point, it increases the blood supply to the tissues. For example, if you have to say, this nitric oxide increases the blood supply to the glomeruli of kidneys, which increases the glomerular filtration rate and urine formation. If I have to give the one example, this is the one example. And also this nitric oxide, moving on to the fourth point, penile erection. This penile erection, this nitric oxide actually increases the blood supply to the erectile tissues of penis, leading to the penile erection. Okay, and also this nitric oxide is involved in fertilization as well, the process of fertilization as well, and then it also regulates the childbirth, what it is called as parturition. So also nitroglycerin is also a nitric oxide, releasing this nitric oxide releasing a substance, that is a nitroglycerin, is employed in the parturition. Okay. And also moving on to the next point, synaptic plasticity. Actually nitric oxide is involved in the synaptic plasticity. So very important term, what is synaptic plasticity? You should remember, this is important one. Synaptic plasticity, if I explain, you will remember for a longer time. Very easy one. Actually it is involved in the regulation of the cognitive functions, like such as learning and memory. Okay, so synaptic plasticity is nothing but it is a change that occurs at synapse, that in that junction between the two neurons, that allows them to communicate. So this actually synaptic plasticity, it will actually what we can say, it is the ability of synapse to strengthen or weaken over time in response to increase or decrease in their activity. Like how much you are going to use, how much you are going to not go disuse. So depending upon that memory is will be strong, so like that. Okay, so that kind synaptic plasticity nothing. For example, make you to understand. So ಇದೇ ಒಂದು ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ, like nitric oxide. Now we are studying nitric oxide, right? So if you go through this video again and again, and if you go through these points again and again, so you will be remember it for a longer time. If you just see the video and if you left out, so that is not enough. So you will forget it. That's how this kind of learning. So this nitric oxide involved in this. Okay, and this nitric oxide promotes secretion of digestive enzymes. And then next one, GnRH. GnRH means gonadotropin releasing hormone. That is the long form of that. Okay, so like ovary and testis, and then epinephrine. Okay, and it is also in immune system. Nitric oxide is involved in killing up of pathogens. Means in immune system, when there is a pathogen will enters the body, here this nitric oxide is going to produce at high levels. Okay, and it is going to produce at high levels, and then it is going to kill the pathogens. It involves in the killing up of pathogens. Okay, and moving on to the next point, in plants, if you talk about the plants here, if you have to add one point on plants here, in plants nitric oxide is involved in immune response. It is involved in immune response, and then it helps in the regulation of stomatal movement. So stomatal movement regulation, it helps in the movement of the stomatal movements, and then it helps in the elongation of the pollen tube. It helps in the elongation of the pollen tube. And then the nitroglycerin is employed to vas life of flowers. What is vas life here? The vas life is nothing but it is the length of time of a flower, like of a flower that you cut flowers, retains their appearance, freshness, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಅಸ್ ವ್ಯಾಸ್ ಲೈಫ್. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್, ನೀವು ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಹೂವನ್ನು ಕಿತ್ಕೊಂಬಂದು, ಬಂಚ್ ಆಫ್ ಹೂವನ್ನು ಕಿತ್ಕೊಂಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಒಂದು ವ್ಯಾಸಲ್ಲಿ ಇಡ್ತೀರಾ. ಸೊ ಅದು ಎಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ಫ್ರೆಶ್ ಆಗಿ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ತುಂಬ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಗ್ಲೋ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೋ ಬಾಡಲ್ವೋ, ಅಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೆ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಟೈಮ್ ಡ್ಯೂರೇಷನ್ನ ಕಿತ್ಕೊಂಬಂದಿರೋದು ಇಟ್ಟಾಗಿಂದ ಮತ್ತು ಅದು ಎಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ಫ್ರೆಶ್ನೆಸ್ನ ಹಾಗೆ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿರುತ್ತೋ ಅಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೆ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಟೈಮ್ ಡ್ಯೂರೇಷನ್ ನಾವು ಆ ಫ್ಲವರಿನ ವ್ಯಾಸ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಓಕೆ, so these are the some of the important points on nitric oxide. In the next video I will discuss about carbon monoxide and hydrogen sulfide and other gaseous signaling molecules if possible. Okay, or else I will do all those other gaseous signaling molecules in the next another video. So in the next video we will discuss about this one, carbon monoxide. Okay, so I'm hoping I have shared the knowledge that I have. I'm hoping this little effort is going to help you all. Thank you everyone. Please do share and subscribe.